crazy today. That is my game plan. Slump. All right. High Noon was an ancient pink adobe with jutting vigas. It was a short walk from San Felipe, and Father Jonas was well known inside. The hostess greeted them warmly and whisked Una and the priest to. Mm. The hostess greeted them warmly and whisked them to a booth in the corner. Una couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten in a restaurant that wasn't a hamburger stand. Mm. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Is that any better? Hold on. And check 1 2. Garlands of dried marigolds hung from the exposed raptors, and the tables were set with bright turquoise napkins. There we go. She nodded with approval. Que linda. How pretty. The villas own this. The villas own the place. Wonderful people. They're very committed to preservation. This building was actually. Yeah, bro. I just can't get this gate to work right. Ugh. Well, let's try here. With the. Driving me nuts. Making me crazy, crazy. And let me sit up, so I can already. And let me set the. Oh well, it's still day 21. I didn't even get to that yesterday. That's too sick. Que linda, how pretty. The villas own this place. Wonderful people. They're very committed to preservation. This building was actually built before San Felipe, back in 1785. Before that, there was another church. Yeah, this doesn't make sense. There was another church in that time. Mm-hmm. The first church was built in 1707, just after Albuquerque was founded. It fell into disrepair and collapsed in the winter of 1972. San Felipe rose from its bones. You know, it's always a bit odd to sit in this saloon. My predecessors and the Sisters of Charity fought a long war to close it down. It was a brothel. You know, it's always a bit odd to sit in this saloon. My predecessors and the Sisters of Charity fought a long war to close it down. It used to be a brothel. After many years, the church triumphed. The House of Sin became a woodworker's shop. Then it was converted to apartments. Sister May was the last tenant before the villas. Dios la bendiga. All right, I hear a dog coming. Hello. Hello, wiener dog. Dog. All right. Hello, pup. Oh, hello, sweetie. How you doing, wiener dog? How you doing today? What do you have to say for your adoring fans? Oh, I think her monologue would be like, how would you feel if I just licked you all the time, huh? Oh, sweet. Oh, all right. You want back down? Hello. Hello, amiga. Hello. All right. What if you sat in the dog spot? In this bed. Oh, so you can be at my side. All right. Let's take a look at. Yeah. What a sweetheart. Hello, amiga. Hello. Oh. Her life is pretty good. All right, buddy. What's up, Kuntz? He says, my grandfather was a background actor in the film Talladega Nights, and he passed away this week. R.I.P. Cheering Man in stands number 2, and bless you for your service. I could not agree more. Dios la bendiga. How's the food? Father Jonas smiled. Much better than at the rectory. You saved me. Tonight is casserole night. Father Jonas made a pained expression. He made a pained expression. She had to laugh. I've been eating the same stuff as Robin. I never want to see another scoop of cottage cheese in my life. There's no cottage cheese here. Order whatever you like. The villas are good friends. It seems so. The staff treated Jonas like the Pope. The bartender brought over a cocktail he hadn't ordered. It was a martini glass full of milky liquor with a key lime garnish and worm salt on the rim. Una was shocked. That can't be poke. It is. There's an agave farm in Los Lunas now. This is called Dama del Maguey. It's my favorite. I haven't had poke in 40 years, Una recalled. Ne dicas amico, tu vade, et reverte, et cras. No, wait, what am I doing? Spanish accent, this is Latin. Ne dices amico tu vade et reverte et cras dabo tibi cum statum possus der. Ona sang. ¿Qué? Forgive me. No dejes para mañana la ayuda que puedes dar hoy. Do not put off until tomorrow the help you can give today. He pushed his drink forward, an invitation. Una didn't need to be asked twice. She took a sip. It was just as she remembered it, slimy enough to coat the throat, with a strange sweetness that popped on her tongue. Why is it strange? With a sweetness that popped on her tongue. The taste brought her back to the pink city in the shadow of La Buffa. When she closed her eyes, she could almost smell the conchas baking. I used to drink this straight from a donkey cart, Una remembered. Una mas, Father Jonas called to the bartender. It wants me to say called out. Una didn't protest. Where were you then? Zacatecas. She felt homesick saying it, even after all this time. Father Jonas asked a few questions, but soon realized she didn't want to talk about it, and gracefully. Oh, damn, cunts, if you're still in the chat, just FYI, they're about to start talking about World War II. And, like, now they're talking about, C-47 radio rooms and stuff. I think a B-17 may make an appearance. You might have the wrong, S post. He gracefully steered their conversation elsewhere. Inevitably, they arrived at the war. Jonas knew a bit of her story from Hector. She told him about the WAFs, endless flights in cramped C-47 radio rooms. She mentioned she'd been in Luzon in 46, and it drew out his own story. Father Jonas was on board the USS West Virginia when she was sunk at Pearl Harbor. After the attack, both the priest and the dreadnought were fished from the Pacific. Oh, Hachi. She's like sitting on my computer chair and crying, even though if she comes here, I will absolutely pet her. She's like, no, I want you to. So that dog likes to sit behind you, and between you and the seat rest, like she's like a sausage between two buns. It's ridiculous. And then you can't lean back because you'll flatten her. So you just have to like. It's fun though. She's a sweetie. Hachi, come here. Hachi. Hachi. She's not supposed to be on that chair. But, it is what it is, and ain't what it ain't. Father Jonas was on board the USS West Virginia when she was sunk at Pearl Harbor. After the attack, the priest and the dreadnought were both fished from the Pacific and thrown back into action in the Philippines. West Virginia fought in the Battle of Surigao Strait, the last time two battleships would ever fight with each other. After VJ Day, Father Jonas was part of Operation Magic Carpet, ferrying GIs back to Hawaii. As Jonas spoke, Una heard many notes that reminded her of Hector. There was a kind of desperate, vital force in both men. The things they'd faced had changed them. All their lives they carried that perspective. Oh, hello. Hello. I see a dog right here. A very long dog. Oh. How does it feel to be a mascot for a future award-winning novel? What are you going to do when we get the Hugo Award? Oh, you are getting a steak dinner if we win a big award, baby. Mm-hmm. Yo. Hello. All right. You want to lie down in a bed? Or do you just want to sit in my lap and roast my nuts? I think we all know the answer. Ugh. All right, man. Had a long day at Fringe Festival and also got to watch one show, which was really great. I got home late, drunk as F. Headed to bed now to do it all over again. Yeah, have fun at the Fringe Festival, man. Yeah, it's so dope that you work on all this stuff. Thank you for tuning in for a hot second to keep me company in the early hours of the morning. I'm almost, this is chapter 40, by the way, out of 60. Like, once we complete this, I'll be 2/3 done with the edit. Hell yeah. All right. Say goodbye, Hachi. Say goodbye, pup. Bye-bye. All right. All their lives, they carried that perspective. Una felt a twinge of regret for her uncharitable thoughts about Father Domingo. Domingo was trying his best. It was just a different time. The meal was over before she knew it. They hadn't even brought up chess. Father Jonas finally came around to it. So, How badly is your grandson thrashing you? In her handbag was a pad where she'd recorded their last few games. Father Jonas looked over the notation. Sometimes he would move an invisible piece with his hand as he went through the game. How long has he been playing? Not long at all. Just a few months. You're not playing a trick on me, are you? Jonas leaned over his glass. Of course not. Una told him about all the chess books Robin had devoured. He'd run through the entire chess shelf at the Los Grigos public library. When he could have books again, she was going to head to the main public library and bring him an armload. She already had a hold on a biography of Alakeen. Boys are so intense with their interests at that age, Jonas mused. Some long-ago happiness drifted across his face, but he kept it to himself. He's a real moody devil at idle. Painting helps. When he's out of that isolation room, I'm going to bring another flock to the hospital. That program has been such a help to him. Domingo's baby. Did he turn any of... Did he turn any of your birds away? Not today. Good man. A little work is... Did he turn any birds away? Not today. Good man. A little work is good for the spirit. How were Robin's marks in school before he got sick? Terrible. He's bright when he wants to be. When he's not interested, nothing at all. They almost held him back in the 4th grade. Some of that was Lucinda's fault, but not all. But not all of it. He's a daydreamer. Spends half of class doodling. Drove his teachers crazy. He drove his teachers crazy. Robin has potential. So did his mother, God rest her soul. I would like to speak with him. Una paused, trying to find the right way to word things. Robin is angry now. He doesn't want to come to church. He can't leave isolation until his numbers improve. Is he at St. Joseph's? I would be happy to visit. He's at BCMC, Father. You don't have to go all the way out there. It's nothing. Honestly, I don't think he would accept a visit, Una admitted. She was very worried Father Jonas would take offense. No? Dile que la voy... Oh, no? No? Dile que la voy a dar una cátedra. Dile que la voy a dar en la torre. No? Tell him I'm going to teach him a lesson. Tell him I'm going to whip him good. Father Jonas was a little red in the cheeks from the pulque. Ah, on that he'd bite. Una clapped her hands. El cabestro para el asno. A bridle for the donkey. Jonas smiled. So this is the chapter where I think it's Proverbs 23 something. Maybe like 23:4. Let me find out, because it's going to be the title for this chapter. It's 26:3. So Proverbs 26:3 is a whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the backs of fools. And it talks about just kind of using the right motivation for everybody. All right, Hachi. Down you go. There you go. There you go. Right here. All right, I put her in the dog bed. So, Proverbs 26:3. Let me just write that as the title here. Cool. The phone rang and took Robin by surprise. Visiting hours were over. It was 20 minutes until lights out. Una had probably forgotten to tell him something. Secretly, he wished it was Emilio. Hope faded so slow. Hola? Hi. Is this Robin? Speaking. Robin didn't recognize the other voice. Hey, hi, Robin. It's Bill from the club. Bill Wilson sounded different. Robin wondered if he was drunk. Oh, hey, Bill. What's up? I hate it when the cursor is so far away. The return of Bill Wilson. Oh, what's up, Max Durden? Or what's going on there? I know your homie Tyler. Yeah, I'm editing this here book. We are 339 out of 500 pages deep into this. Crack food. Oh, what's up, man? All right. Let me see there. Yeah, I was too sick to do this show yesterday, and it's a frequent occurrence, honestly, this day and age. I don't know what it is, but like by the time I get to Friday night, I'm just dead. I have to start doing the show on a Monday because I'm dying inside. Listen. I really acted like a jackass on Blitz Day. I really acted like a jackass on Blitz Day. I don't know why. I Listen. Listen, I really acted like a jackass on Blitz Day. I don't know why I said all that. It's not true at all. I was just saying it because I was frustrated. I'm sorry. No, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it, Robin said. He kept his voice light in case this was a prank. He would never admit how much it had bothered him. We need an actually here. So this is a 13-year-old kid who has acute myeloid leukemia, and he plays in like a war game club. It's in Albuquerque in 1979, and this kid, Bill Wilson, threw a fit and said that they were rigging the campaign for the kid because he was sick. But it turns out that Bill is just trash at the game, and the kid, Robin, is pretty good at it. And it's called Robin the Prodigy. So there you have it. Seriously, I feel awful. I apologize. Robin wondered if someone had put him up to this. He hoped it wasn't Duncan. Okay, well, I accept your apology. Thanks. Sorry again. There was an awkward pause. Bill wasn't sure if he was allowed to hang up. Robin could almost picture an angry mother in the room with him, arms folded in fury. Do you know what prednisone is? Robin asked. No, I don't. It's a steroid I had to take during chemotherapy. Heavy-duty stuff. It made me hungry and angry all the time. I would get furious over nothing. Once I screamed at my grandmother over a sandwich. I just wasn't myself. So I guess what I mean is, I get it. Do you want me to ask Duncan to take the forfeits off your record? No, please don't. I deserve them. I hope you can come back and play soon. Hope you get better. I deserve them. I hope you get better and you can come back and play soon. Sorry again. De nada, Robin said. He said goodbye and hang up. Here. De nada. So, real talk, we have almost generated like $200 for a cancer charity. Just on the strength of me streaming this nonsense on Twitch. That's real talk. I can't believe I'm actually doing something useful for once. After years of being a net detriment to everyone and everything. Oh, well, thank you. Only if it's only don't throw in anything if you can't afford it. Or like real talk, if money is tight or whatever, just tell like a friend who likes books, and that does so much more for me than throwing in your own money if money's tight. Because yeah, man, it's crazy out there. Like eggs is high, gasoline is high. It's ridiculous, you know. And I'm a thief, so I'm living in a life of luxury with all the stuff I've stolen. So Like, I'll tell some friends, but I can at least afford $10. Well, thank you. But yeah, remember, um, just way better to tell people than to throw in dough, especially if stuff's tight. Because I've been there. I'm there now, honestly, because I spend all my money on guitar pedals. De nada. Robin said goodbye and hung up. It wasn't a joke. Bill was just awkward. It was hard to believe he was 17. I'm older than him, Robin realized. Was I always like this? Back in Amarillo, Robin was the Duncan for their circle. He called the shots and the other guys went along, even though a couple were older than him. Even though a couple of them were older than him. He called the shots and the other guys went along, even though a couple of them were older. When two guys were mad at each other, Robin fixed it. When he said no, they listened. They all hung out at his place because Lucinda was never around. More or less motherless, Robin was free to hang out all night and do whatever he wanted. He went to school when it suited him. The other boys were envious, but they knew nothing. Robin was cooking for himself and scrounging while they were still getting tucked in at night. He couldn't afford to be sloppy. If Robin mouthed off to a bigger kid, no one would take him to the dentist. If he shoplifted and got caught, no one would bail him out. He had to be so serious all the time. Emilio was the only one who could really crack him up and make him forget himself. All right, hold on, let me try something here. Properties. Refresh cache of current page. There we go. Cool. It's been hard to find IRC users that are into reading. I gotta tell you, all they do is read text on a screen all day, and then their brains have no mana left to read fiction. I'm too busy like reading about like Seij's latest affair, and EFS enables struggles with medication, and Load Radio's flight to Romania, and all this nonsense. He had to be so serious all the time. Emilio was the only one who could really crack him up and make him forget himself. Why hadn't he called? Robin wasn't so upset anymore. He just hoped Emilio was all right, wherever he was. It was a weird feeling to still want good things for someone who had abandoned him. He held up his hand and stared at the angiocath taped to it. Hard times. Okay, so that was chapter 40. Life is good. Alright, depending on what the next chapter is, I'm going to try to get one more. I feel better. Yeah, I just had no mana to do Proverbs 26:3, to do a show. And, like, we had a great bit last week, but, 26:3. A bookcase full of books I need to read? Same. Yeah, I can maybe read like 3 chapters every night, and then I just fall asleep. And the book I'm trying to read now, it got too cringe in the middle of it, and I haven't found another one. It's a shame. Let's put this at the end. Alright, so I publish all these on a site called Royal Road, which is just full of Chinese people, honestly. Maybe I should add some pagodas or something to my story so that that's not how it works. I'm gonna get canceled for that one. Yeah, what if Robin worked in a laundromat? You still have a fresh copy of Zero sitting there? Man, honestly, like if you haven't read that one, it really is dope, and it's a short read. Like some of the scenes in that are so metal. All right, hold on, I'm tired of dwelling in darkness. 1 second. There we go. All right, bring me back to light. Then, but there's also an audiobook for that one. So on the YouTube channel for this guy, you can just go and there's a playlist that has like the entire book. All right, so let's try chapter 41. Make it the next thing I read. Hell yeah, yeah, man. It's a solid book. So who is it? I think Logic helped edit that guy, and I think that was back when Spathywall was around, and really had a good time with doing it online. And so if you do read that one rather than like listening to the audiobook, just an FYI, there's a glossary at the back of it for all the. It's got like a bunch of Chinese terms in it that we have. You know, it's kind of like a Clockwork Orange, where it's got its kind of own language and so forth. So if you don't know that there's a bunch of Chinese in it. No, wait here. Let's check the dog cam. Aw, she's chilling. What a sweetie. But if you don't know if that's happening, you can like plow through the whole book and then get to the back and be like, oh, that's what all that is. Yeah. It's my co-editor right there. Yeah, she's so chill. And then my Golden is at the top of the stairs right over there because he's not allowed down here because his hair would get in everything. But he would love to be down here too. I might actually like teach him that he can come down here and like sleep under this thing because I miss him too. But anyhow, let's try to get through another chapter. Robin's excitement died as the priest walked through the door. Oh, wait. Hold on. Oh, my lymph nodes are blowing the fuck up. Ugh, I'm dying. Check out the glossary first, because I would have read it without knowing. Yeah, it's I got a copy of this thing floating. Oh, it's right here. So it is on page. Yeah, so at the back of the book, if you have this copy, there are translations for all the poems that are between the chapters. So if you get to this page right here, there are a series of Tang Dynasty poems. So there are like 25 or 26 chapters in this, and each one is prefaced by a poem from the Tang Dynasty here. So it's just got like a block of text there, and so the translations of these are at the back. And then after that, there is the glossary. I really should have put this stuff onto the page for the book. Yeah, you find out stuff like the word Diu in this story means hell. Shengmu is the Virgin Mary. Si Hadao means dead pilot. Wu Goi is tortoise. Zhu Wu is a new religious awareness. And then, let me see. And a Zisha is a suicide merchant. And then Yama means demon. So cool stuff like that. And at the back, we've got like this IRC, it's got ASCII art in the back of that. I don't know how creative it is. I mean, a lot of people, it's basically just ripping off like the idea that Anthony Burgess had in A Clockwork Orange. But I did have like actual Chinese people go through all this. So shout outs to Robin from Not Math, who went through. It was like one of the hardest things was like getting the right word for vagina, and so he had to help me out with that one. We wanted a way to say evil cunt, and it's hard in Chinese. So he helped me out with that guy. All right, let me get through one more chapter, and then I can play around with synthesizers all day. It's the weekend. There's a big UFC coming up tonight that I'm interested in there. I think Dricus du Plessis is just going to mollywop. I heard that somebody's saying that mollywop meant to hit somebody across the face with a dick. I don't know if that's true. We had to get into that at some point during the story. But yeah, so Dricus du Plessis, the real African king, is going to be fighting against Kamaro, the Nigerian cringe mayor, Usman, and I think Usman is too old to deal with Dricus. I think Dricus is just going to steamroll him. So I want to watch. New word added to the lexicon. Man, this stream is just full of weird vocabulary. All right. Robin's excitement died as the priest walked through the door. He knew Father Jonas was coming, but he still hoped it. But he still hoped it would be someone else. He wished it was Duncan or Sandy. He'd have even settled for Vlad. No such luck. Father Jonas wore thick glasses, and his white collar protruded from the neck of his paper gown. Tucked under his arm was a Bible and a folding chessboard. The strictest isolation was through, and Robin was finally back in a regular room. The TV still didn't work. A whole line of painted birds perched along the windowsill. Buenos dias, Robin. Buenos dias, Padre. It felt strange to call him Father. Jonas heard the ice in his voice and paused. Is it all right if I sit with you? Is it all right if I sit and talk with you for a bit? Yes, it's all right, Robin said quickly. Una would flay him alive if he offended Father Jonas. The priest took a seat beside the bed. I know you'd rather see your friends, but at the moment it's me or nobody. Only clergy and immediate family. Clergy and immediate family. No, you don't have a comma there. Your doctor says you're fighting hard. The nurses say you're a good patient and your manners are good. And your manners are excellent. I spoke with your abuela. She's proud of you. I'm just lying in bed, Robin shrugged. I see you haven't been idle, Jonas pointed to the sill. Domingo says that your birds are good. Domingo says that your birds are perfect now. I have visited many people older than you in rooms like this. Not everyone was so stoic. You Martillos are tough. Robin listened, wary of where this was going. Eventually, the priest would come around to Jesus. They always did. Father Jonas cleared off the overbed table and began to set up the chessboard. It felt a little presumptuous. He hadn't asked. He hadn't asked. Just like Una, the padre was old and used to having his way. Your abuela came to speak with me about you. Do you know what she said? This little... Do you know what she said? The little pendejo keeps beating me. I think we translated pendejo somewhere else in this story, and so we don't do parenthetical translation for things that we've already translated. Help me wipe the smirk off his face. So I took a look at your games. I said, Una, you've got a real problem here. She says you're still beating her, even with all this going on. Father Jonas gestured to the bank of machines. She's letting me win, Robin said. I don't know. She's very proud. Now what about you? Are you proud? Do you think you can beat me? Robin nodded. Let's see. Wary, Robin chose his best opening. With ease, Jonas parried everything Robin threw at him and strangled him in the endgame. The next game, Robin went aggressive and played the Danish gambit. He got crushed. 10 moves into the third game, Robin was already underwater. He stared at the board and couldn't even tell where he'd gone wrong. Father Jonas was far beyond his skill. Good. Very strong, Father Jonas said. I'm down 2 pawns, Robin frowned. 67 years I've got on you. I ought to be up a rook. It didn't make Robin feel better. Soon he was in checkmate. Good game, Robin held out a hand, though he wasn't supposed to. Jonas shook it. You're good for a beginner. What about your games with your grandmother? Have you got them written down? Especially the ones that you lost. Especially the ones you lost. They'll teach the most. Robin flipped through the diario and found their matches. So, I'm going to have to run through the entire story and find all the instances where we have diario. And Just decide whether they're uppercase or lowercase. Robin flipped through the diario and found their matches. Even when he was totally out of it, Una had recorded the games so he could add them in later. Some of his moves during the first couple weeks Some of his moves during the first couple of weeks of chemotherapy were almost comically bad. Trying to find better moves that could have saved him. At the bottom of each game, he'd outlined his ideas for better lines. At the bottom of each game, he'd written ideas for better lines. Father Jonas's eyes darted and his mouth moved as he studied the moves. He pointed to the last game Robin had lost. The closed Lopez would have been better here. Might have saved that blender. Una's sharp. Una is still sharp. Could she beat you? Not in this lifetime. Do you want to know how you can win these games? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there I removed move because I just didn't want to have it twice in the same sentence. Like, moved as he studied the moves. It sounds weird. Yeah, so a lot of... It really makes you wonder, like, how much sort of, like, dialogue and stuff in books and so forth has changed. Like, there, so instead of his mouth moving, he mumbles, right? And, like, so... kind of like insignificant, but if this was a screenplay, that would be like a whole different direction. It would change a lot about the way the character was portrayed. And it's just so that we don't double up this move because it sounds bad to the ear. So that's got to be in a million screenplays somewhere. Could she beat you? Not in this lifetime. Do you want to know how you can win these games? Robin did, very much. Father Jonas went through each loss with him. His kind smile faded and he grew razor sharp. He saw many things Robin had missed. Jonas explained about intermezzos and night outposts. He spoke of how a center that appeared strong might actually be a liability. Then he showed Robin 3 of his favorite games from memory. Capablanca versus Nimzovich, Fischer versus Spassky, and Alekhine versus Lasker. So I've thought about doing some writing. One thing I always think about is not using he said, she said too much. Not quite sure how to avoid that. So when you're starting off at writing, you don't need to worry about that at all. In fact, you really don't need to worry about anything when you start off at writing. It's best to just plop down the entire story that you want to get out. And in some cases, start at like the amazing part, like the part that you really want, write that chapter first, right? And then you can write the chapters that lead up to it, assuming you're doing something kind of long. Things like he said, she said, word order, word choice, like whether or not something is spelled correctly, none of that matters when you're writing initially, and that's what editing is for. What a lot of people who are starting out don't realize is that like the correct process is that the writing is just like a burst of inspiration and so forth, and you just get it on the page, right? You don't worry about changing anything or whatever. You just rush to get it out while you're excited about it, where you have like energy. And you just write from the heart as much as you can. Learning to do that takes like 20 years, right? I'm still not great at it. And the more you edit, the worse you get at it, unfortunately, because you're like, oh, I'll just fix this little thing. Like writing is supposed to happen in a Zen state. And the closer you can get to that, the better the writing is. Like a lot of this book was written where I was just completely tuned out of the world. I have music blasting in headphones. Like I am just not thinking, and the work is like flowing through me. And that's part of what makes it a good book. And then the second half is the editing half. The second half of writing is editing, and the editing is brutal, but you do not have to worry about that. And so you've been writing for like 5 years, honestly. It takes so long. Although you may be more gifted than I, because I just did it the most stubborn way. But yeah, man, don't worry about. So he said and she said are called dialogue tags. And when you're first starting writing, just never use any word other than he said and she said, right? You only, I guess the one thing is this, like you don't need he said, she said, if it's clear who the speaker is, right? And that's part of what like an editor will do is like go through, and in places where stuff is clear, they will remove the dialogue tags. In this story, like an editor is going to go through and they're going to remove a lot of the dialogue tags that I've made because they're just not great, you know. But more things to know. And Alakeen versus Lasker. But yeah, writing is like it's the greatest thing that you can possibly do for your mind. I'm like a significantly better person than I was before, before I put all this effort in and so forth. Just really gives you insight into like every aspect of how your mind works, and you learn a lot, and learn a lot about people and places and history and stuff like that, and you just become more complete as a result of doing it. The writing won't sell, and you won't, you know, for the vast majority of people. I think I can only think of like 3 or 4 girls that writing has ever gotten me, but they were important girls, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, that mattered a lot. I had one girl dump me. She's like, I don't see this going anywhere. And then she went and read some of my books, and she was calling me. She's like, hey, right? Just in it for the pussy. So, if you're just in it for the pussy, then one, write, like, you want romantic fiction that is real. They call it spicy or whatever. I call it rapey. So you write romantic fiction that is real rapey, and you don't even have to be like fit or attractive. You just have to like clean up okay, like put on a shirt with a collar and stuff. Write these books, go to conventions, and like have books and stuff like that. But really, you know, so women just want to be told that they're right. So if you just go to these conventions and be like, yeah, I'm learning to write this and so forth, and you can speak about it passionately, and then you just say, oh my God, your stuff is so good. You're going to be amazing someday. You're in. That's it. Literally, you could pull down like 3 or 4 different women every weekend just going to like the romance writing conventions. And there are other sleazeballs that are there, like trying to pursue that same tactic. So if you come across like reasonably wholesome and you've done your homework and so forth, and have read a little bit in the genre and have something to say and can attend the panels and ask questions that are pertinent and so forth, geez, yeah, you can just get an avalanche of smelly vagina from women who sit on their fat asses all day and dream about non-consensual, consensual sex. So, but then you have those women around in your life, and there's a piece of you in them and a piece of them in you that'll never go away. So keep that in mind too. But yeah, like that's not a bad strategy. But I will tell you there are some drawbacks there. One, everybody has like some made-up disease, like Morgellons or something like that. And there's some people that are actually like in wheelchairs and so forth, because it's a pursuit that appeals to people who can't move around a lot and so forth. So you got to navigate a lot of that. 2, everybody is so painfully woke and they're like trying to outdo each other, and you have to get like a bottle of wine in somebody before they'll say, actually, I think we should send them all back. And you know, it's there under the currents of everything and so forth. It's and like a lot of the panels and stuff are so boring, right? It really just is people like stroking themselves off and patting each other on the back. But under that facade, like a lot of these people are very smart and have a lot of good things to say that they just can't reveal in front of all their friends. And that's the whole masquerade element of it there. Yeah, I love going to literary conventions and stuff like that. Because you get to talk to like some of the old writers at some of these things, and those guys, for the most part, just have like amazing stories, and they have done terrible crimes, right? They really have done awful things, and you can find out about all of that stuff because almost all of these writers are just going to be complete perverts who have done terrible things, because the idea that you can sit down and tell a story and like that people will pay attention to your story, that draws in the worst kind of people, like people who are like very used to like getting over on somebody else and tricking them and lying to them and manipulating them and so forth. Because like writing a book is a kind of manipulation. You're like, hey, let me borrow your imagination for a little bit, and I'm going to drive us to a place that's really cool, right? And it's a big responsibility, and a lot of people use it in like a terrible way. Anyhow, yeah, I think people think, oh, it's like a convention, it's boring or whatever, and they don't understand like underneath everything there is just like a torrent of donkeyism running through this whole thing, just hot and full of AIDS. Anyhow, yeah, let me add that metaphor into the story. Robin scrawled the games in his diary so he could study them later. To his surprise, he was sad when visiting hours ended. Keep studying. When you're out of this place, I want you to hit that chess club like a meteor. Work hard, study your lines. Make your abuela proud. Robin thanked Father Jonas for coming, sincerely. It was his first smile of the day. Jesus never came up. That's going to be the title of the chapter there. No, we can't have the what are we gonna do this one? The Closed Lopez. I think I ought to be up a rook. I gotta drop. It's 5 a.m. here and I haven't slept. Looking forward to the book. I'll actually read Zeros in the meantime. Yeah, have fun, man. It's a good book. Yeah, plow through if you can. Like once you're 100 pages in, it's really soaring. It takes a little bit to build up. All right, let's go back here. Let's post another chapter. Chapter 41. Oh yeah, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, everything I do is so dry without somebody to like jump in and say stuff, right? I'm just kind of like sitting there like a lump, and then somebody comes in and says something, and I could freestyle forever. But on my own, I'm just like, no, me make book good. All right, let me see how many words we have gotten away with today. Dashy board. Let's see. I can't believe only like 1,500 people have viewed this. Oh yeah, we've only got 2,500. That's why I'm like, I want to be up a rook. Thank you, Sandin, for the fake review. It helps. I like that he wanted to help me. Wait, hold on. How long is this? Oh yeah, let's go through. This is a short one, and then we can stop here. Chapter 42, Discharge, A New Hope. The month inside the hospital felt like a year. The last aspiration hurt terribly, but waiting for the result was the real agony. The absolute neutrophil count was everything. Robin's only chance to escape. If they made him stay, he was sure he'd never leave this place. Robin had to lie in bed to keep pressure on the aspiration point. They patched the wound with brown pressure tape. The nurses had him on a yellow bag of platelets, and they gave him Tylenol 3, which he hated. The codeine made him nauseous and foggy, just like yours truly. I hate codeine so much. I never want to sip on scissor or pound back drank or die like DJ Screw. This is a terrible drug. Yeah, it makes me so nauseous. I can't stand it. It barely blunted the awful pressure. An hour after the draw, the doctor arrived. Robin and Una froze, afraid to hear, but desperate to know. The initial smear looks good. We'll know more in 4 hours and be certain in 24. Rest up and try not to worry about it, the doctor advised. Try not to worry about it. It almost felt like a joke. What else could he do? Robin was too foggy to play chess, too tired to paint, too gray to do anything but lie in bed. The fatigue was already worse than the prednisone crash. It felt like they'd scraped away everything good inside him and left just this skinny husk. It felt like they'd scraped away everything good inside him and left this skinny, useless husk. The 4-hour count was good. Una looked like she might cry with relief. They made her go home. It would be a long and lonely night. Robin was completely bald now. Even his eyebrows and lashes were falling out. When he looked in the bathroom mirror, a pale alien looked back at him. His eyes were blue-tinged and sunk into pits of shadow. The only good thing about the isolation was that only Una and the priest saw him like this. He tried to think about the game, about anything but the count. What about when he got home? Weeks of at-home isolation, then another aspiration, another gauntlet. Then what? How could he face everyone? He'd had to work so hard to make friends in Albuquerque. Now that he looked like a walking corpse, no one would want him around anymore. He'd be stuck inside all summer, alone. He'd have to eat the awful, low-bacteria diet and listen to the coyotes howl every night. Robin wondered if he ought to just run off and spare everyone the trouble. Better not. He probably couldn't make it around the block. He held up his hands. His forearms were motley with bruises and lines of tape residue in the moonlight. What a mess. His arm. They bore the record of a long, bitter campaign. He was a living map. It gave him an idea. Robin reached for his diario. All right, cool. So that breaks through the book. Very happy with how we handle. So this sort of second hospitalization didn't used to be in the book. It was not there. So this is a very short chapter, but very pivotal to our story. All right, and then we intentionally like rip off Star Wars there. All right, there we go. Good morning. Up early or up really late? Nah, I woke up at like 4 a.m. What's up, Crispy Melon? So I'm working on a book about a young kid with leukemia who escapes into a fantasy war game, and the war game becomes sort of like a parallel with his leukemia treatment. I think I'm gonna do another chapter. Like it's Saturday. I don't have to go to work. Let's do it. Let's see. And so here we go to book 3. So this book is 60 chapters long. It's about 500 pages in this manuscript. And we have, over the course of 21 days, edited through 42 chapters so far. I'm going to go for this one as well. Unsaved changes to drive. I don't like that. All right. And like, yeah, my editing philosophy is that I read through every word of this just to hear how it sounds and engage like a different part of my brain. So this is a completed novel, and we're working on the edit for it. And then after this, it will go to the actual human editor. And then after that, I will typeset it and publish it and be sad that nobody read it. Such is life. 43. Drink. The hermit clapped his empty tankard against the scarred bar top. The bartender took no notice, nor did anyone else. The stools were short, and Sufferin's hoary head did not quite clear the bar top. If this was meant to be a hint, the old dwarf soundly ignored it. Once Sufferin made up his mind to be somewhere, 4 or 5 men were required to displace him. Generally required to displace him. He had a better claim to this place than anyone. No one here was old enough to know, but he'd laid the stones beneath their feet, long before the time of their grandfathers' grandfathers. No one remembered, and no one showed him any respect. Humans were fools. Sufferin lived high in the bleak peaks where the strange beasts roam. The mountains abounded in galena and antimony, cinnabar and ruby, sulfur and quicksilver. Black smoke and hot cinders blew down from the brimflame mountains. In some seasons, the Rainbow River caught on fire. The water had a strange taste and kept the barbers busy. The river water had a strange taste, and it kept the barbers busy. For women who stayed here too long. I like this one. The river water had a strange taste, and kept the barbers busy. Women who stayed here soon began to grow beards. Personally, I found it hard to stay motivated to keep streaming my edits when I don't get viewers. It's a tough ask for a gaming streaming service. I usually get, like, so I had somebody I was chatting with a second ago. Even like 1 or 2 people is enough to feel chill. But if you're not getting any viewers, like, 1, the key is to like have a regular time for the edit, and 2, you have to engage like your social networks and blah 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 blah. But honestly, like, I get better work done when I'm like just blogging into the void. The problem is that it used to be when I would edit, I would just like flame out and get distracted and play video games after like 30 minutes. I never got anything done. And then once I started streaming and had to perform, I was able to like actually finish whole novels because like the audience kept me accountable. So there's power in it, but you got to be strong to force yourself to do it long enough. And like everybody streamed to no audience at once. Like the first like I don't know 3 or 4 years of my radio show, the audience was just like exactly like the people who were in the studio. So I just brought more people into the studio. I'd have like 20 or 30 kids in there, drinking 40s, freestyling, smoking dope. Life is good. And then, you know, the police came and it was all a thing. Well, maybe I need to actually read it out loud. So I highly encourage like reading it out loud. And I'll tell you why. 1, it'll make you a stronger orator, which is always good. But the other part is that writing and reading engage 2 separate parts of the brain. And something that sounds good to the ear will generally read good to the eyes, but not vice versa. Like something that reads good doesn't necessarily sound good. And a certain percentage of people are actually sub-vocalizing the words, and you help them a lot. Like the slow readers that sub-vocalize every single thing, if your book sounds good, it's easier for them, and they'll finish them. But also, you can hear a lot of things that are wrong that you can't see. So I'm a big fan of this. I always do my initial edit off stream because that's really boring, and it's just like a lot of commas and stuff like that. So I do like a edit of that draft, And nowadays, if you're smart, you'll probably throw it through like Shark GPT or something like that to get like all your commas and punctuation and stuff out. Don't take any writing advice from it though. And then once you have that edited rough draft, like once you're on your first draft, then you can do it. Am I expecting? I always publish all my books in hardcover and in this one's good. So I do. I'll do a hardcover of this one and a paperback, and like hopefully my next project is going to be to get a better recording setup. It's noisy down here, and I'll do the audiobooks for them as well. Ooh, it's a lot of work, man. Yeah, I do all my typesetting and all my own cover design and interior design and stuff, and I'm doing all my own marketing, and that's why it's just you and me right here, buddy. Because I'm not good at the marketing part. Not at all. Speaking of which, I really need to get that done. I don't make a living from it yet. Nobody makes a living from writing, by the way. Like I know guys like Scott Lynch and Rothfuss is different. So Rothfuss like a little bit he really makes a living more off of Kickstarter scams than off of books at this point. Anybody who is writing has a day job. And so the key is to like have a day job where you can still write. Like so that I wake up at like 4 a.m. every day so that I have enough time to write and edit and all that stuff. Nobody's making a living from writing. Even people who are like super bestsellers like Grisham and so forth. Grisham is not making a living from writing because he's ghostwriting it all out. And like now they have AI mills doing it and so forth. Yeah, it's not something you can make a living from. It's something that you can make a life from, and that you can derive a ton of enjoyment from it. Like it is the joy of my life. But outside of family and intercourse and all that good stuff. But and drugs. Let's not forget drugs. But actually, you can't take drugs when you write all the time. You just can't do it. You can't smoke pot and write good novels. So I think it's been like 2 or 3 years now since I've smoked at all. Just because I want to write the next day, and I don't want to be foggy. You give up a lot. I wish this was like a better chapter too, for me to like spout off all this nonsense, but it's like a bridge chapter. It's the start of another book, and this is introducing a new person. The river water had a strange taste and kept the barbers busy. Women who stayed here too long soon began to grow beards. Suffren didn't mind, though it made him a twinge homesick. 5 times this tavern had been destroyed and rebuilt. The owner and name changed. The owner and name changed, but Suffren stayed the same. He still mourned the first owner, Nuno the Albarian. He was a rare one. Nuna spoke little, meant much, and kept his word no matter the cost. Around 10 tankards deep, Suffren tended to grow maudlin and reminisce. Nuno and Suffren met by chance, foes on either side of a massive tavern brawl. Each was surprised when his opponent took his best shot and fought on. When the fight was through, friendship grew around a shared love of strong dark ale, short angry women, and things built to outlast their makers. Had Nuno been born a dwarf, just FYI though, I do make a living from being on the radio. That is something that you can make a living off of if you want. But that's, well, not at the moment I don't, but I have made a living in the past from being on the radio. So that is something that you used to be able to do. Now I guess it's all podcasts or something. Had Nuno been born a dwarf, no one would have thought twice. Instead, he was a 7-foot-tall tribesman who never fit in anywhere. Together, Nuno and Suffren went on many adventures. They found and squandered great fortunes, survived all sorts of scrapes and dangers, and pummeled countless would-be wits who snickered at the odd pairing. Those were the greatest days of Suffren's life. Oh, I like this. Yeah, this is It's a good setup right here. So this harkens back to stuff like Farfod and the Grey Mouser, and Felix and Gotrek and stuff like that. The classic fantasy buddy comedies. Ugh. Mm-hmm. I would really like to, I think I'm gonna set up a massive DDoS attack on streamaboo.com. I'm sick and tired of them spamming stuff, and I really feel like a few terabits of traffic headed to their site might teach them the error of their ways. Let me find out actually who owns that concern and just go after them directly in India or Wangjai or wherever the hell they are. I'm sick of being spammed by that, and I'm going to find the person IRL, and they will suffer for my mild inconvenience. Don't tell anyone. Mm-hmm. There's that dark triad kicking in. You can block the word stream boo. That's not a bad idea. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I might, but yeah, then I couldn't get mad every time it happens, right? There's some value in that. And like, so if I block it, I'll just ignore it. But then I won't actually. I did also stream boo. That's a good idea, but I actually do want to find out who owns it and then just wreck them. It's not too. It can't be too hard to do. I'm gonna guess that just by the boo at the end of it, I'm gonna guess that they are in northern China. So I could be wrong, but I'm not. Time took her toll. Nuno got old and had to retire. He chose Bitter Little Valley, a podunk backwater in the foothills of the Brimflame Mountains. The river tasted strange and the ground shook daily, but the miners were always thirsty. Nuno knew a place with a hidden spring. Sufferin lent his hammer. Nunu knew a place with a hidden spring. Sufferin lent his hammer. Together they dug deep into the mountainside around the spring and built a cellar stout enough to keep their priceless... I like this. To begin their inn. They built a cellar stout enough to keep their priceless font and precious cast. Yeah. Precious cast intact. To begin their inn, they built a tap room of thick logs and drew up plans for an unbreakable stone building that would stand against the eons. Alas, the dwarven ways were slow, and the human spans were short. Oh yeah. Alas, the dwarven ways were slow, and human spans were short. Alright, do you have anything published, Crispy Melon? Like on Amazon or Royal Road or what have you? Let me see. Nunu never saw his great plan through. His son, Yinin, was a dunce who had no use for Sufferin's good advice. The boy took his inheritance and built an extravagant inn. Mm-hmm. Oh, this almost sounds like Ill Maiden, like Iron Maiden. All right. Alas, wrote my first draft 3 years ago, then lost my motivation when my father died. So, I have this book right here. It's called Gravid, and it's written as a gender swap of Robert Silverberg's book, Dying Inside. This entire book is about the grief of a young woman who lost her father. And it's about the intersection of telepathy and profound grief. And nobody read this book, just FYI. But it was my rainy day project for 3 years, I want to say. I only wrote it when I was too depressed to like write anything else on like bad days and so forth. And the book is like a nail of black poison, but it's also very heartfelt and so forth. And this is the first book that I edited on stream using this method. So one of the things I do, which I would recommend to you, is I keep track of all the people who offer edits, right? And I thank them in the copyright page. Like, oh, the epigraph is from Sartre. As for me, I am mean. That means I need the suffering of others to exist. A flame in their hearts. When I am all alone, I am extinguished. So what I do is I keep track of everybody who gives me an edit here, and I put them on this leaderboard. And then every time they catch me cursing, I have to put $1 in the swear jar, and that goes to the Leukemia Research Foundation. So, I also have, hold on, let me find this thing. Let me see. I have a link right here that's going to change your life. No, it probably won't. But, so, whether or not I'm good at writing books is up to you to decide. But I'm definitely good at finishing them at this point. I have like 10 or 11 out. And I have probably like the worst kind of, I don't know, ADD or just spastic. What I should never have gotten into writing, but I did anyway. And I make myself do this through sheer tyranny of will. So what I have linked here is a instruction set for how to finish your science fiction or fantasy book. The stuff here will work with like any book, but if you have a draft that is like 3 years ago and need to like find what it takes to finish it, this will help you out. After 3 years, by the way, you have to rewrite your book because you've changed so much that you're no longer the person who wrote the initial book. You waited too long, and so you have to do almost a full rewrite. The question is like, do you have the energy and the mana to do it? Yeah, what's up, Logic? I've already done 2 chapters, buddy. And I haven't cursed once. We had Crackfoo come through, and he said he was going to donate to the fundraiser, but I think he sounded like he was hard up, so I didn't make him do it. Let me see if he donated. No, we're still, 160. Yeah, so we got $10 from Crackfoo. Thank you to that. I've gone back into it 2 or 3 times on revision 4. Well, then you're good. Yeah. So in the last 3 years, here's like some amazing stuff that's happened. Am I streaming on more than one service? Yeah, I'm on YouTube and on Kick and on this. But it doesn't help. Like, just focus on Twitch TV because they have a writing category. Like, don't even bother with YouTube or whatever. Yeah, if you're on revision 4, then you're like good to just run it through like a ChatGPT edit. Just do it chapter by chapter and have it like do the proofreading. Just a prompt is like, proofread this chapter, output a table with the original sentence, the corrected sentence, and the rationale. You just use that on every chapter. You can pick out like all the commas and the tense issues, and it's actually sort of decent at picking out like anachronisms and stuff like that. I wouldn't bother with like trying to analyze the whole manuscript, although it can be helpful to run the entire manuscript through it and say a prompt that's like, hey, analyze each of these chapters and assign a from 1 to 10, quantify like the strength of the pacing and the quality of the writing in the chapter, so you can focus on like which chapters are bad and so forth. That's something that it used to cost like $1,500 to $2,500 for a directional editor to do, and they can do it for free. Oh, you're feeding the neighbor's cat? Hold on, Logic. I need you to see something urgently. Oh, look at this little guy. He's chilling. She's chilling, I should say. Look at it, even pronoun confusion, trying to do this. So anyhow, you can do that with your thing, and the energy that you get from like making those changes and so forth can carry you through to where you get online and like do a streaming edit and like fight your way through and do the whole thing. And then you can actually get that book out. So if you have never published a book before, don't worry about anything. Just do it like directly on KDP. Just make a kdp.amazon account and do your own typesetting. Like learn how to use Adobe InDesign to typeset. Just pirate it if you don't have a like school version of it. Figure out how typesetting works. Typeset your book. Like design your own cover if you have the artistic chops. Don't use AI for your cover. Like a text treatment is better than an AI cover, although you will sell better. Like if you write like fanfic type schlock or lit RPG or something like that, you can get away with like an AI cover. But I just did a text treatment for this one. I think it looks better. I wouldn't buy a book if it had an AI cover, so I don't put out books that have AI covers. And that's it, man. You were honestly like you're living in the greatest possible time to finish this. I had a live stream critique and edit of a few pages. Had an editor lecture me on not choosing to change tenses between chapters. Then had to go down a rabbit hole on researching successful books that do just that. A live stream critique. Yeah, well, definitely don't live stream if you're not like confident enough to where you can just be like, oh, that's great, thanks. I'm not going to take that advice, but it's cool. Like you have to be able to deflect stuff to people who don't know what they're doing. Otherwise, like they'll lead you into disaster there. But yeah, man, get through the thing, finish the book. Like you'll always be unhappy with a book that you did not finish. It is a weight on your soul forever. And like if you spent a year finishing this thing, like now like literally 3 months you can be through like a final edit, and then maybe 2 weeks it'll take you to typeset this thing and design the cover and so forth. And you just slam it on Amazon, and then you can be depressed that nobody's reading it instead of being depressed that you didn't finish it. And it's much happier. I'm much happier being depressed with like a lack of readers than a lack of effort on my part. So there you have it. Yeah, and like that link that I gave you will tell you like a lot of what I have learned by doing it the wrong way for 20 years. But also, the other thing is that somebody who's actually an editor, when they're lecturing you, if you come back to what they said in a year, you'll find out that they were right. I remember the Filipino kid. It was like, change it to the alarm cries. The empty oxygen was stabbing my chest. And do you remember how I was like, it's a good idea. We're going to keep writing now. But he was so enthusiastic about it, right? And his English was so bad. I still remember that kid. I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure that the target audience, middle grade, YA. Well, I will tell you a secret is that the people who actually read middle grade and YA stuff is women the women who are like 18 to 35 maybe. And there's actually not a lot of kids that read YA because not a lot of kids read. So the dark secret of the publishing industry is that after they are done, like editing these weighty and momentous tomes that nobody reads and nobody cares about and trying to get people to care about them, on the subway ride home, all the editors that work at like Random House and so forth, they're reading just like YA, something where they don't have to think, where it's just easy. They just want that feeling that they had when they were kids reading books. So don't, and they all have Kindles also because they read constantly. So don't forget about those women. Right, they do exist. I know many of them myself, and they will get behind a good YA story and really like push it in ways that you cannot yourself. But the other thing is so simple. No, that's is the opposite of that core logic. The other thing that is it is so simple with KDP to put out a print book at this point. Well, good. My protagonist is female. Same right here. I too identify as a female protagonist, winning many like Hugo and Nebula awards. All right, let me try to get through some of this chapter. But yeah, like happy to help with any of this. Feel free to like DM me if you need advice on specifics and so forth. But yeah, it really is much easier than it seems like it is. And like it's worth putting the time in, if only so that you feel like you accomplished something with your life, right? Especially getting through like a period of depression and so forth. Like all that depression is super powerful for writing because writing comes from discontent. Sorry to keep distracting you. I guess one of the things I'm struggling to find is a writing community. Well, another thing is that there is no community, right? Writers are completely solitary, and they're like comedians. They hate to see each other doing well. So just keep in mind that that is the case. Um, yeah. Like the pain is writing comes from dissatisfaction with like the world as it is. If you were happy, you would just be like, oh, it's so sunny and nice, and I got my martini, and I'm here on this beach, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, really, like suffering is the fuel for all real art. And as your life gets easier, you become less of an artist. That's how it is. But everything will eventually get taken away from you again, and you can sort of phoenix yourself. But anyhow, the point of it is that it's very easy to put something out on KDP. It really will take you like less than 2 weeks to get it formatted and acceptable. And the gulf between you and somebody who is just phoning it in with AI is literally that 2 weeks of effort. And I'm sure that AI can go like a long way towards formatting your EPUB and stuff like that. But yeah, feel free to holler at me. If you want community, you really have to start going to conventions. Those are where you actually like meet people and make friends in person and so forth. I've looked around on Discord, and like the writing communities are garbage, but the reading communities are really well. Like readers want to talk about books and they are passionate for it and so forth. And those are great. Discords for writers are just trash, right? They don't like each other. Everybody just wants to chill their own book. All the stuff they say is super performative and so forth. It wasn't about suffering. It was about a sense of accomplishment and father's pride. Huh. Well, no, I'm not saying that the book is about suffering, but it's clearly fueled by suffering. Like, book could be about anything, you know? Anyhow, let me get through a few chapters here. But yeah, glad to talk with you, and good luck with your thing. Yeah, if you want, you can pitch what your idea for the book is, and I might take a look at it. But I'm brutal as a beta reader and so forth. I really do, I think, more harm than good. But anyhow, Logic. Let's go back to the start of this chapter. Now that you were here, what if you stuck a gun in your mouth and drank until you almost did it? I really think you should just quit drinking, Mr. Alki. I have never put a gun in my mouth. I don't think I've ever been close to suicide, to tell you the truth. I've never been like enough on a ledge where I was like trying to jump and my body wouldn't do it. But I know that that does happen. I think I've tried to like hold my breath underwater long enough to die, and then every time I've been like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna go for this air. But yeah, if I had to end it all, I would just start swimming into the ocean. Um, I mean, just for writing. It seems like that there's a lot of potential. I don't think you can power up in that way. I think it has to be legitimate suffering, not something you do to yourself. All right. No, this chapter is absolutely getting cut from the final book, sadly. Pacing. What were we reading? Nunu never saw his great plan through. His son, Yenin, was a dunce who had no use for Sufferin's good advice. The boy took his inheritance and expanded the inn into an extravagant mansion with a theater and a fighting pit. The ill make it. The ill-made place shook itself to pieces in the first quake. Yinin sold Nuno's arms and armor to rebuild the place. Then gambled in a way on a single hand of Roke. I don't think you ever read Zan and Ink, their logic. Anyone know about that Roke? It was the made-up game. It was like a tile-laying game in my first book. The one nobody read. The boy took his inheritance and expanded the inn into an extravagant mansion with a theater and a fighting pit. He used the cheapest masons and labor. The ill-made place shook itself to pieces in the first big quake. Yinin sold Nuno's arms and armor to rebuild the place, then gambled the inn away on a single hand of Roke. For years, the tavern passed between a clan of skinflint Abixians. They were run out of town for blasphemous acts. Then the tavern got passed to a pack of half-wit Morians, shoutouts to the Isle of Moria. You been there. Who eventually got strung up for tax evasion. These should be separate sentences. The tavern passed to a pack of half-wit Morians who eventually got strung up for tax evasion. None of these owners thought to ask themselves why the old Severer never faltered while all else fell to bits. They all watered their ale and overcharged. Suffering held his tongue and bided his time. It was the only tavern in town. Met my girl there? Yeah, think about how much your life changed because of that goofy IRC D&D. Isn't it crazy to like think of people like coming into one of my streams for the first time? Because I'm having to start over for the beginning, and like people are like finding out about me and the stuff that I do, and the people around me and so forth. Think about how much backstory. Like, we really just need a wiki for all this stuff, because it goes so deep. This is like so much deeper than like any Christian or whatever. I really need to find like an archivist to start like just chronicling some of the nonsense that's happened there. It really is a lot of stories that will be lost into the buffer forever if we don't do something. And you know, I'm like losing my memory already, so it's only a matter of time until like I can't remember any of this. None of these owners thought to ask themselves why the old Severer never faltered, while all else fell to bits. They all watered their ale and overcharged. Suffering held his tongue and bided his time. It was the only tavern in town. The tavern's latest incarnation was named Capite El Calcem. The owner was an Anvilan dope who added a shrine to the west side of the inn. The owner was an Anvilan dope who'd stuck a shrine to the Emperor onto the west side of the inn. He built too close to the tailwater of Maledesson Falls. The shrine caught the oily mist from the cascade and glistened at sunset like a fish's belly. Pilgrims oohed, but the planks were already black with rot. When fire season came around, the whole inn would go up like kindling. Suffering wondered if there would be anyone left to rebuild it this time. Rebuild it this time. There was evil on the wind. For a season, the tavern had grown busier until Suffering could scarcely find a seat at the bar. If the bards could be believed, half the world was at war and the rest was next. Now, Tonight, dusty drivers lined the walls, sallow miners filled the tables, and shifty foremen filled the booths. Loudmouth traders robbed the bar, fuzzy floozies crowded the stage. And a slew of fuzzy floozies crowded the stage. People piled into the place. As the night wore on, more and more people piled it. Yeah, look at all this like froofy fantasy writing. The problem I have is I love this kind of like wordplay type stuff, but nobody wants to read it, and certainly nobody wants to publish it. But it's fun to me. Like a slew of fuzzy floozies and more patrons piled into the place. Soon, only Suffering had the space to swing a dead cat. Suffering did not know if his elbow room came from respect or disgust. Either would suffice. Dwarves grew stronger as they aged, and Suffering worked the forge every day. Fresh spark pots spattered his cheeks like freckles. There were pale moons around his eyes where his goggles had protected him. Above the glove line, burn scars crisscrossed his thick arms. Suffering's life had been devoted to beating on the hardest things anyone could find. It was best to let old dogs and old dwarves lie. It was never wise to let an old dwarf's throat get too dry. "Drink!" Suffering's voice shook the bartender from his stupor. The tapman bustled over and artlessly filled the tankard. The git was more concerned with the stranger on the stage than his task. The witless git was more concerned with the stranger on the stage than his task. Oh, the distracted tapman bustled over and artlessly filled the tankard. The distracted... He was a witless git, more concerned with the stranger on the stage than at the... He was a witless git, more concerned with the stranger on the stage than his task at hand. Suffering scowled at the foamy head, but said nothing. He'd come to expect no better from these apes. Thirst wetted, he turned around on his stool to see what the fuss was about. He could not see over the sea of soldiers. He was too short to see over the sea of shoulders. With a sigh, Suffering stood upon his stool to see who was on stage. Charinge the Bard wore the most overwrought outfit Suffering had ever seen. He stood on the stage in silence, and his eyes glittered a mischievous green. His outfit was a diamond motley of gold-edged jade and plum-trimmed lilac. When he smiled at the audience, strands of auburn smoldered in his pleated beard. Women drew near to titter at the ruby buttons on his brocade vest, and the lacy purple picadille that bloomed from his collar like a daffodil. On the stage were 2 leather cases with golden clasps. Charinge produced a marvelous lute. From one, Charinge produced a marvelous lute. It was an inlaid 10-course wonder with gleaming golden frets. Anticipation built in the room as he set the tap room. Anticipation ramped in the tap room as he set the lute in tune. Comma on his brocade vest. Ugh. I don't see the need for a comma there. Because it's two separate things that the women are tittering at. They're part of the same sentence. I don't. It's not an independent clause, so I don't think a coordinating comma works there. But let's ask the oracle. No, your sentence doesn't need a comma. It's perfectly written, exactly as it is. Thank you, Clanker. You have it as long as hell? Yeah, it's fine. It can be long as hell. Yeah, this is the start of a new book, so it has like there's a lot in it, right? Yeah, honestly I think we could cut the chapters at the start of book 2 and the chapters of this one at the start of book 3, and we'd probably be a better book for it. But I do like I like this. But yeah, the problem is like I like to do all that fantasy writing like Three Wolf, where it's like real dense and there's like a lot of internal rhyming and wordplay and stuff like that. But it does not sell. From one, Churinge produced a marvelous lute. It was an inlaid 10-course wonder with gleaming golden frets. Anticipation ramped in the tap room as he set the lute in tune. Suffren ogled his gold. Suffren ogled the bard's gold, and knew at once he was a fighter. This gaudy minstrel must be a fighter, otherwise he'd have been robbed on the road. Likely he had a bodyguard or two around the room. Suffren knew his game. Churinge strummed, and a sweet chord rang out. He perched upon a stool and threw his wine-dark cape over his shoulder. Applause riffled the room, and an expectant silence fell. From the first, note, the bard's skill was undeniable. Sweet notes filled the inn, faster and faster, until Churinge's rings flashed like sparks. His voice washed over the audience, warmer than the hearth. Suffren saw eyes grow wet across the tap room. Suffren saw eyes grow wet everywhere. This crowd was half pickled and pliant as tin. After a few ditties to draw the dolts in, the bard came around to his true aim. Just as Suffren expected, this Churinge was a recruiter. He'd come on the behest of some second-rate brigade to convince nitwits to enlist. He sang of their campaign, clashing with goblins along the Riveridian River, saving villages, rescuing damsels, triumph after triumph. After the fluff were bits of awful truth. For the first time, Suffren heard of the doom of Dagbellow Dell, the siege of Sweetwater Keep, and the mutiny of Duke Yamone. The world was falling apart, faster than ever. Next, Churinge sang of the miracle at Macamil. He told of the way the Hawkmoon Elves and Stone's Throw shield bearers fought alongside Imperials to defeat a far superior foe. Let's see. I noticed you were at the start of a new book, as opposed to a new act, but you're not starting over at page 1. Is it like these book and act? They're so I'm saying book here, but it's just a fantasy convention, right? It's really Act 3 that we're on here. So this is where Chekhov's gun has to fire off, and all our threads have to come to a mutually satisfying conclusion and all this. So this is the final act of the book. So act would be more apropos, but we just say book because I like to think of it as like a book and not an act because I don't write plays. Utter fanciful rubbish. Elves and dwarves would never serve under one banner. Too many betrayals, too much bitter history. Yet the fools in the taproom lapped it up. Bah! Sufferin grunted. A woman shushed him and he seethed. How could she not see? How could she not see? This hogwash was meant to suck rubes into some doomed boondoggle. Suckers would set down their picks and enlist, only to wind up in some raven-picked roadside grave. Sufferin really ought to say something about it. He had never cared much for what humans called music. It was naught but flash, flicker, and flare, fleeting as a hair. What about a good old mining song, sung by 70 stout voices in the space between strokes? These fools would never know. These fools would never know how it felt. Sufferin decided he'd had his fill of weak ale and tall tales. He'd rather hear the sweet ping of his hammer against an anvil than this drivel. Before he could make his exit, another brace of miners shouldered through the door and packed the place. Might as well have another beer. He banged his tankard and told the bartender he wouldn't pay full price for half foam this time. To his delight, the bartender gave him a free refill to shut him up. Things were looking up. Oh. Very important that we see. Little buddy just woke up and sneezed. Hello, sweetie. Hello, cutie. Oh, she's the one this is all for. That's right. I want you to live a life of dog luxury. Although to her life of dog luxury is happening right now. Things literally cannot get better than this for this dog. Nice and warm. Got her little bed. Hello, Hachi. Hello, buddy. oh, good doggy. What a G. All right. Wait, you told somebody you weren't going to pay full price for a beer that was half foam just the other night? Hell yeah. Did you also get a free refill? Things were looking up. Yet as he quaffed... Yeah. Yet as Sufferin quaffed, the bard's song grew more outrageous by the bar. Familiar names tugged at his ear: Breakbow, Stone's Throw, Presscoat. Wherein Charinge sang of Wintermoor Fortress, Sufferin could take no more. Bah! Sufferin bellowed as the others clapped. To them it was just a tale to pass the evening. To Sufferin it was a mortal slight. To the fools, it was just a tale to pass the evening. To Suffren, it was a mortal slight. Syringe's green eyes quested through the audience as a conductor sniffs out a sour note. So this works a little better because we go to they found sufferance and twinkled with impertinence. As a conductor sniffs out a sour note, Syringe's green eyes quested through the audience. They found sufferin and twinkled with impertinence. I sing truth, friend. Eravitramor is slain. A new day has dawned. They never slayed no drake, sufferin brayed. Some of the youngsters were annoyed, but many of the older patrons rumbled in agreement. It was quite a claim. I must have overlooked you at the battle, Syringe quipped with a grin. Tell us, friend. He held out a palm and invited the dwarf to speak his piece. Perhaps he expected Suffren to shrink from the crowd. So I would say spotlight here, but it's medieval. They don't have a... Suffren drew a deep breath. He was no bard, but his voice could ring above 100-hammer forge. He was no bard, but his voice could ring above the din of 100 hammers. He would not be cowed. Battle? I'll tell you of battle. I know, right? Like, the dwarf part is so fun. Bro, like, what a great concept to, like, play around with. My name is... Battle? I'll tell you of battle. I was at the... Wait, hold on. Let me do it all as Randy Savage. Battle? I'll tell you of battle. I was at the spark of it all. My name is Suffren. I have no other. Before your mayfly kind ever infested this land, I was forge master of the great boar. Sworn to... Let me not do that. I'll throw my voice up. Sworn to Blag the Seer King. The Ashbreaker came, just as Blag prophesied, and chaos flamed across the world. While fiends frolicked and the coward elves cringed in the south, we sealed ourselves inside the mountain. With our stores and stories, we rode out the 10-year winter and emerged into the gray race that remained. All was ashes, but dwarves are never daunted. Look around you, bard. Every flower and tree you see came from the seed we stored. Our strong hands laid the lanes you traipse. Our picks broke through the gray crust of years and let spring bloom anew. Where were you when we made this world? Where are your thanks, ingrate? And when that great labor was through, we prospered as none have ever prospered before. No idle elves, no vile goblins, no meddling wizards. We knew no misery, no mutiny, no hunger. See, this is where I'd have a hard time reading mine on stream. It's a female protagonist and a female best friend. It's asking me to narrate my female character. So there is a trick for as a male, which I assume that you are. Maybe I don't care like what you got going on there, but just assuming that you are a dude, the trick to reading women is not to drop your voice too much. It's not to go low. Or to go high. It's to go husky. But the dwarves were never daunted. Look around you, bard. Every flower and tree. Just go like a little bit husky there, and that's enough, right? Like I definitely wouldn't do voices like while editing. Like I'm not doing like a full voice here. I'm just getting a little into it to have fun. But no, I'm not like reading it like a play or an audiobook or whatever. It's much more about like concentrating on the words and getting through. So yeah, you just go like the tiniest bit husky, and that's it. There are many tutorials online on how to like read audiobooks right, and that's generally the way to go. You never want to pitch up because it always sounds stupid, but just like a little bit of husk and then it's done. No idle elves, no vile goblins, no meddling wizards. We knew no misery, no mutiny, no hunger. From peak to peak, Blag's peace was all you can see. Those were golden days. No, this is too much. This is like not a good girl voice, but it's enough that it won't throw the reader off. Where were you when we made this world? Where are your thanks, ingrate? And when that great labor was through, we prospered as none have ever prospered before. No idle elves, no vile goblins, no meddling wizards. We knew no misery, no mutiny, no hunger. From peak to peak, Blag's peace was all you could see. Those were golden days. Throughout the room, eyes glittered with want. Sufferin was no crooner, but his words came from deep. The truth rang sweeter than any loop. You speak of antiquity, friend. I do, and I'll tell you why. So you all know how strong we were when ever Vitramore came. And so you all know how strong we were. And so you all know how strong we were when Eravitramore came. 3 mountains united. 3 armies armed with the finest weapons ever forged, clad in the mail of old. I was there. With my own eyes I watched our great phalanxes scattered like chaff by the lash of his tail. I watched ballista bolts and catapult loads bounce off his diamond hide. His bladed breath cut our legions to ribbons. 10,000 of us took the field. A scant 100 survived. None was ever the same. That is why I name you Liar. Eravitramore is invincible. Sufferin banged his fist on the bar with a tremendous bang. Ooh. So I love the, oh, hello. Oh, somebody's enjoying the story. Hello, sweetheart. Oh, 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 oh. Hello, buddy. Oh, so sweet. What's going on, G? She's enjoying it. She's getting in there. All right. All right. All right. Down you go. You want to go upstairs? Let you guys out in a little bit. Lord have mercy on me. Yeah, what is up with this microphone being all sidewise-ified and everybody's wondering the same thing. All right, that's where it's supposed to be. I think my camera shifted around or something. Yeah, I don't know why I'm spouting off advice to this guy or whatever. I don't know why I'm spouting off so much advice with my 2 viewers, but I do know a fair bit about this stuff. But yeah, definitely listen to somebody who is more successful than me. But no, you can try my way too. I'm a G. Also, this chapter rules, by the way. I'm not cutting this. I'm loving this here. So earlier in the story, there is the story of the battle with Eravitramore, and they win by like a huge fluke or whatever. All these fantasy sections, by the way, are taking place in the imagination of a little boy who was whacked out of his mind on chemotherapy drugs. So that's kind of one of the cool conceits of this book, is that woven through it are all these sections set in Albuquerque and so forth. And it doesn't get into like any of that hokey isekai nonsense. Each of the threads should be written like with some respect and dignity and so forth. It's not like dungeon crawler carling its way into like, well, aliens just flatten the earth and everybody dies and now we're here. Like, you know, I'm real particular about my fantasy and what I want in it and what I do not want in it. Yeah, it just knocks me right out of a story every time there's like steampunk nonsense or, you know, some dude like Portal fantasy I can't stand. Haven't read a Carl yet. Apparently, like, so I tried reading and I was really thrown off by the hokey premise of it, which all lit RPG stuff kind of would probably do for me because I'm old. But I've heard that after like 100 or 150 pages or so, the guy figures out how to write. Like if you read Maslan or whatever, they do not know how to write the first book. Like, and it's just Maslan is like 2 guys who are doing like a 2-man D&D campaign where they're like swapping back and forth who's the DM. And but the books are pretty good. And like the first book, they do not know what they're doing, bro. They're trying, but they can't write. But they get better, and then they wrote like 15 more books, and apparently it's amazing to get through them. But my problem is I like flamed out after book 2, and I can't get back into it. But they had some cool ideas, very like Elden Ringy. Although they predated Elden Ringy, so we could say that Mazlan is very, or Elden Ring is very Mazalani. Sufferin banged his fist on the bar with a tremendous bang. He expected the bard to scoff or squirm, but Charinge was made of sterner stuff. I know your tales, Sufferin the Mastersmith. Bards sing of you and your unfortunate son. Sing it not, if you would leave here alive, Sufferin warned. All around the room, hands went to weapons. There was murder in his tone. And apparently it was enough to get Seth MacFarlane interested in making an adaptation. Carl or in... Seth MacFarlane. Wait, is he the Family Guy guy? The Family Guy would be perfect to do Carl Dungeon Crawler Call. He would not be perfect to do Mazlan. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'll make $1 million off of it. Because they've sold so many of those books. Yeah. That'll be a gigantic hit. Because that's exactly the kind of, like, easy, stupid Family Guy humor that, really, that I felt like was his driving point in the book. Really hard for me to enjoy humorous writing. Like, what is it? I could never get into, like, Douglas Adams or anything like that. Discworld or what have you. Just, it just doesn't fit with my sense of humor there. But meanwhile, I love P.G. Wodehouse and stuff like that. Like, my favorite book of all time is a comedy piece by Steinbeck. It's Tortilla Flat. It's so good. Just amazing book. But everybody's particular. Maybe better as an audiobook. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not gonna cringe less just because somebody's saying it. But that said, like as I'm like saying all this, like this chapter is cringe, right? This is very, very purple in our prose, but part of the design of this story is that the fantasy chapters are kind of mirroring this breathless exuberance that they used to have in like battle reports of White Dwarf magazine that I grew up reading as a kid and so forth. So some of this I can write off as being intentional, but but not probably less than I think. There we go. Get back there. Yeah, the lights are making me too red. There we go. Yeah, I was looking kind of pink there. I'm not actually sunburned, as I would appear. Oh no, I'm red. Whatever. Yeah, I'm turning into a dwarf myself. If you're reading a book, you're already throwing your time away. It's fine. Let me see. I disagree. Like, reading a book is just exercise for your mind, man. No different than for your body. It's necessary to have happiness. Sing it not, if you would leave here alive, Sufferin warned. All around the room, hands went to weapons. There was murder in his voice. There was murder behind his words. Charinge took a pause and raised his palms. As you wish. You bless us with your words, Master Smith. I would hear more after the performance. As for the Drake, hear my oath. As for the Drake, hear my oath. Okay, I'm flabbergasted that somebody who's sticking around for the stream would make a comment like that. What, Logic? Logic is an edit ace. Look no further than this book right here. So in Zeros, we were able to special thanks to the squadron. ZYZ novels are edited in collaboration with a live internet audience. Zeros is far better thanks to their tireless contributions. Viewers receive 1 point per accepted edit. Edit ace Logic, 122 edits in this book, and he says, I warn you to kill those you have defeated. CIL V 5933. And then here's our homie Voltaire. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Gangsta. So Logic's a real one. Yeah, we've known each other for years now at this point. As for the Drake, hear my oath. I swear by the stars that never fade, Eravitramor was slain by the heartbroken brigade, Charinge swore. He held up 3 fingers to the guiding stars. It was custom for every inn to nail 3 golden stars to its rafters. The coins were always oriented to Bion, Ione, and Zayam, the 3 fixed stars that made the arc of the lovers' chase. An inn without them wasn't worth a whit. Some of the crowd shifted visibly. It was a serious oath. A bard would travel by those stars all his life. The word of a bard. Suffren crossed his arms over his chest. With a smile, Charinge set down his lute and took up his flute case. He held every eye in the tavern as he lifted the lid. A line of brilliant fire blazed on a bed of black velvet. It was a faceted fang, as long as the bard's arm. The tooth of a drake, Charinge countered. Howls of amazement raged around the room. Suffren's cheeks blazed. He couldn't have played a better clack if they'd planned it. So, show of hands, who knows what a clack is here? Not just from context, but who knows the actual word and the meaning and so forth. Let me see that, Suffren plowed through the crowd. He was sure the fang must be a fake, but from even 5 paces away he could feel the ancient dread curling at the nape of his neck. The diamond fang was cold as a grave for all the fire inside. Suffren took the fang and held it to the light. Oh, so like a clack is essentially somebody in the audience, like a plant, essentially, that is there to shout something at an opportune time and let our performer come back with like a witticism. They're basically just and let me make sure that I'm using the word correctly, because I could be wrong. So a clack is a group of people hired to attend a performance and either applaud or boo. A group of people who prearrange themselves to express strong support for an idea, to give a false impression of wider consensus, or a group of wait, so we need the singular of clack. Yeah. So it's borrowed from French. So yeah, obviously. Claquer. Yeah, so claquer. Yeah. So I'm glad we checked. So claquer. Oh, and then this is spelled there. Claquer. Hold on, can we do it?
Claquer.
Claquer. So this is the... Yeah, it's like all very Soros-esque. Yeah, there we go. Claquer. If they'd planned it. All right, so this is a very archaic word, and it's almost like a direct loan word from French. Suffren took the fang and held it to the light. A million reflections danced inside. There could be no doubt. By the stars, it is true. Eravitramor is dead, Suffren breathed. He returned the fang to its case, glad to get it away from him. Charinge seized the moment and swept in. A change is coming, brothers. This great victory is the first of many to come. Under one banner, all true hearts shall unite. You told of Blag's peace? This is not a question. You told of Blag's pax. It has come again, friend. Let's make it Blag's pax above. There we go. Let's get some Roman in there. Latin boys. You told of Blag's pax. It has come again, friend. Elf and dwarf stood together with men to thrash the gore-lord filth. You want news? We've retaken Blag Bor. The great fortress shall be rebuilt. The mines will ring again. The mines will ring again. The great fortress shall be rebuilt. Together we will purge the land of darkness and make it clean again. Peace will bloom again. Peace will bloom. It is coming. Suffren stood in silence, wanting so badly to believe it could be true this time. Wanting to believe it could be true this time. Excitement blazed through the room. Young men's eyes grew glassy with thoughts of glory. Old men tugged their beards and wondered if perhaps they had a battle or two left in them. Suffren tried to shake the spell, but the fang blazed on, undeniable. Charinge met his eyes. I confess, I hoped I might find you, Master Smith. They say you have no equal, that you alone know the secrets of the mail of old. I know nothing. I am nothing but an exile. No comment. Suffren growled. I know another exile. Burbak Breakbow, the hero of Eravitramor. Did you know he scaled Eravitramor? Climbed right up the monster's neck. Climbed right up the worm's neck, spry as a monkey. He bled from 1,000 runes, but struck true, right in the eye of the drake. He bled from 1,000 wounds, but struck true, and buried his axe in the eye of the drake. Breakbow lives. His body will mend, his spirit will never bend, but his arms and armor are finished. So you can tell that I have spent a bunch of time reading the Odyssey and Iliad here, because we're like wine dark, and his arms and armor, and we were like 2 cups of coffee away from me to try and like work in insightful Telemachus. And I think also I include The Blessing of Sleep in here. Of those books, man. It's just amazing stories, and I couldn't really I couldn't feel them until I got old. But once you're old, they're amazing tales. I have sought high and low, no one is equal to the task. I seek a smith of old. I seek he who can make mail from the scales of the diamond drake. I am not a smith any longer. It is forbidden, Suffren said. bitter as poison. Grumbled, bitter as poison. Forbidden by who? Shining Peak has fallen. 10 years left. 10 years hence, there won't be a single son of Uld left in power. The bickering kingdoms will fall, one by one, swallowed by the horde. The horde is coming. The priests who stripped your name cannot pray the danger away. The old gods do not listen. It is law, Suffren said. What good is a law when the people are gone? The goblins will not keep your traditions, Smith. They will fornicate in the places you hold sacred. How long have you languished in exile, shut up in some brimflame cave like a wild beast? You look out from your lonely mountain, you see what's become of your great labor. How can you be satisfied with this? How can you stand it? I can't, Suffren admitted, with both hands clenched into tight fists. I hate it. I loathe the fools who threw me out. The weaklings lost everything. The weaklings who lost everything. They let us slide into this slow, smoldering destruction. I hate the traitors who gave themselves to chaos and corruption. I hate the endless night, the breaker of days. I spit on the devourer. I'll fight. I'll fight. I'll fight. You could have just plonked this scene right into Zeros and never know. That could have been Zeros doing this right now. The old dwarf roared, and the inn roared around him. The old dwarf roared, and the inn roared with him. In 2 days' time, a column of men set off from Bitter Little Vale, headed for Black Boar. Suffren was at the fore with a hammer in his hand. Oh, yeah. I love this chapter, right? So, what's this chapter trying to do? This chapter is, and I thought I was going to cut it, like, a little bit in. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to cut this chapter. And then I forgot that I went back and added, like, all this drama to it. It used to be that there was no conversation between the two, and it was just, like, written out, like, these things happened, such and such. But then I went back in, and I'm like, let me throw some dramatic tension into here. It's so much better there. So the idea here is we're trying to show that people are like gathering, they're joining up with the Heartbroken Brigade, talk a little bit about the world. We want to work in the Suffering character, who is one of the figurines that Syringe and Suffering are the figurines that Robin just got. So super cool. And then here we go. This is what remains of the show not tell chapter. That what do you think, Logic? Would a recruiting speech have worked on you if you were like 10 beers deep? Would you go back to battle at Black Boar? Great battles raged across the landscape as the Heartbroken Brigade rebuilt the Great Boar Fortress. Hello, I got a dog in my lap. What a sweetie. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'd probably fall for it too. Like, I want to crack open some gobos. Mm-hmm. I mean, I re-enlist for the new uniforms. Sure, a free job, why not? They'd probably take you at this point. Yeah, like, that was like the trouble with like the like I still give you all this money and so forth to do it, and I'm like, would be kind of, and they're taking people in our age range too, and I was like, it would be cool to do all the military stuff again. But then you just realize that, you know, they're evil and like the stuff they're doing is evil, and then you would go through all the pain and suffering again, you know. Yeah, it's not dumb enough to fall for it a second time, I guess. But it does sound fun. I got to tell you that. I would love to get some adrenaline in my life. Great battles raged across the landscape as the Heartbroken Brigade rebuilt the Great Boar Fortress. Over the ancient ramparts of Black Boar, a dwarven banner flew for the first time in centuries. Square and severe as the ones who'd raised it, the dwarf flag bore a black. We have the word bore too many times. Square and severe as the ones who'd raised it, the dwarf flag was a black mountain against a field of crimson. For the first time ever, an elven banner flew beside it. The black pennant of the hawk moon was a long arrowhead embroidered with delicate silver calligraphy. It's the ISIS flag, essentially. A human flag flew as well, another first. Instead of the hammer of the Emperor, the Imperials chose the golden smile of potboys halberdiers. It was only right. These ass niggas looking like they got the Amazon logo flying over their keep. It was only right. Half moon smile of pot. Yeah, so we'll make it a half moon so people don't visualize the Amazon logo. It was only right. The day had finally come. So big day is now. The day had finally come. With pride, Suffren the Mastersmith presented his glittering masterpiece to the hero of Aravitramore, the Shard Drake plate. Wide-eyed as a child, Burback Breakbow stripped down at once and donned the invincible scales of his greatest foe. He hefted the unbreakable double-bladed axe. Yeah, axe, whose edge was so keen the wind cried against it. His grin was a wicked thing to see. The other dwarves beheld Suffren's handiwork with awe. Suffren watched their bearer with worry. There was a fury in the scarred berserker like none he'd ever seen. If Burback Breakbow were to lose himself now, who could stop him? Suffren told himself he'd grown strange and afraid in isolation, that he fretted for nothing. These were dark times. Chances had to be taken. There was much to be done, an entire army to outfit. Oh, how did we have another with here and I just let it slide? Yeah. I think there's no comma. Let's just. Yeah, you lost on these comma challenges so far today, buddy. I'm gonna have to start taking points away because you're gambling. No, I don't want to set up so that feedback loop makes it so that people are less likely to propose edits. So we won't be doing that. And also, I love it when people are like, "No, the sentence is perfect." No, the sentence does not need a comma. It flows beautifully and is grammatically perfect, just the way you wrote it. I thought I told this. Oh no, it's not. So every clanker that I am forced to use, I tell it to like strip away all the BS, and this is just like an incognito session. AI took all my journal. Well, the AI is actually preventing you from poisoning this manuscript with extraneous commas, so it's saving us both. But yeah, the number of errors that we have in the work is so much smaller now that we're. Well, now essentially, I just couldn't afford to do a proofreading pass before the edit previously, and now I can, just because a machine is doing it. Suffren told himself he'd grown strange and afraid in isolation, that he fretted for nothing. These were dark times. Chances had to be taken. There was much to be done, an entire army to outfit. He threw himself into the work. There were many would-be smiths to train. Even humans and elves came to learn from the Mastersmith. With Shining Peak lost, Suffren could no longer see the use of secrecy. War raged all around the mountain. Soon it would be on their doorstep. They would all stand together soon. Still, he felt out of place and missed the solace of his brimflame forge. The air sung around the fortress as warp and weft hummed with portents. The sweet mountain air sung around the fortress as warp and weft hummed with portents. Everywhere, Suffren saw the harbingers of divine meddling. He eyed the scarred halberdier simpleton, clearly touched by the gods. He watched the deepening bond between elf and dwarf, a course that inevitably led to disaster. He listened to the grand plans to lead an army north and save Lastgate. He watched human children cavort in the ancient halls of the Boar. He shook his head. If only they knew the black history of this place. With this taste, he marked the way elves and dwarves ran about with an almost human sense of urgency and purpose. As the army prepared to move, Suffren was sure and sure they were marching towards disaster. But no one asked him. So I like this extra part of the chapter there, where he gets all fired up and he makes this armor and so forth. But at the end of it, he's still like a hermit. He's still like, I don't know about this miscegenating. They took our gerbs. Yeah, I like that you get to see that it's not all wine and roses. All right, let's do it. I gotta go here to Dashy board. All right, what are we going to call this chapter? Let's call it New Recruits. Boom. All right, Logic, how many words do you think that this chapter that we just did is? I'm going to say it is 1900. Well, it's a double chapter. This might be... Oh, Hachi, come here. I'll go to 2400. You want to take a guess before we publish it? Hachi, come here. She wants a ball. It's the only reason why she ever cries. All right, let's go back to the snap back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity. All right, and let's check the dashboard. I only showed up for like half of it. Oh, I said 2400. So 5000. Ooh. So 3466. Which means that adding all this together there, we did almost 6,000 words today. It was 3466. All right, so I win by Price is Right rules. But yeah, there's more words than I thought. No, not a lot of views coming through on any of this. That's a shame. But we just have 17 chapters left. We can finish this week for sure. We're gonna, especially if I do like a section. Yeah, I'm just gonna try and power up and do a second section later today. Today I also really need to get some people together for like the last week and try to make a go of it. Wait, view edit suggestions? What is this? Oh, no. People can suggest edits and then you can view them and so forth, but I don't know how seriously I would take them. I mean, some of the edits we've gotten on Royal Road have been really good, actually. Like, every once in a while, you get somebody who's like an editor that they go through and really look at it. But yeah, I would love to get some of these numbers up here. Average rating of 5. It's not bad. But, all right, so we've done our work. Logic, good to see you. Sorry I was too sick to to do a show last night. I'll work on it. And I wish you and Big Anjo and